He's known as the father of affirmations and the mental health coach to the stars. He's written a book, and part of the title is Take Out Your Head Trash for Caregivers. It's that little voice in your head, that tries to sabotage you every single time. And he's working in Hollywood with Hollywood celebrities, 8-figure company CEOs, professional athletes. Noah is famous for helping entrepreneurs make more in just 12 weeks than they made in their last 12 months. Hey, while winning their lives back. Wow. Noah also appears frequently in the news worldwide, including ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, Entrepreneur, and Success magazines. But before we get started, I do want to thank my last week's guests. Maliko is passionate about helping people reach their full potential, and he has taught people of all ages from 5 to 105. He's a black belt in Okinawa karate, or as they say, karate, and 50 years of training, TV host, producer, etc. Just a reminder, you can watch or listen to that interview and all our interviews, including this one, on our membership website, caregiverdave.com, or any of our other 26 global networks that I mentioned earlier. Okay, enough of that. Dr. Noah, welcome to the show. So great to have you on the Caregiver Dave show.
Well, thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Yes, and I welcome Carletta as well, Carletta Cole.
Welcome.
And, now that everyone's been welcomed, I always like to ask my guests just who is Dr. Noah St. John, and why was he placed on this earth?
Well, I was placed on this earth to get rid of not enoughness here on the earth. That's my mission, is to help eliminate not enoughness. And what I mean by that is billions of people every day are walking around believing in not enough, believing that they're not enough, believing that they don't have enough, they'll never be enough, they're not smart enough, not good enough, not whatever enough. And that leads to a problem, many, many problems. But one of the big problems is what I call head trash. I've written 18 books on the subject, how to take out your head trash, and thereby helping people literally make over $2.8 billion over the last 25 years. I've helped my clients add 6, 7, and 8 figures in record time while winning their lives back. And that's a very important phrase that I want to mention, because there's a lot of gurus out there that say, hey, here's how to make more money. All you have to do is work all the time, never see your family, don't have a life, and don't take any breaks. And how's that sound? And you're like, well, that kind of sucks, man. No, so I'm the opposite of that. I'm the opposite of the hustle and grinders. I'm like, how about more money and more time? Does that sound better? Like, yeah, where do I sign? So it's pretty awesome.
Wow, that is amazing. And I mean, I'm doing pretty good, but I could always use more because I'm starting this new project now. Mm-hmm. It's an Acapulco wellness training, mastermind, retreat, and vacation. And it's an amazing event. All I got to do is sell it. And I know you can help us with that. So we'll talk about that later.
That sounds awesome, Dave. Well, you should have me speak there.
I should have you speak there.
Yes.
And Carletta, I'm sure you can have some use for Dr. Noah as well and what you do.
No, I do.
Let's do it.
Yes, Carletta helps caregivers take breaks. She raises money from high-income people, by corporations, etc. Anyone who can afford it, and they'll offer and donate, hotel rooms and massages and nail treatments.
I give them a day out of service so they can forget about their lives being so busy.
Yeah,
nice. That's wonderful.
They donate the money. She spends it on getting a caregiver to watch the loved one while they go out and be selfish. Because it's okay for a caregiver to be selfish, Selfish is not a dirty word if you're a caregiver.
Absolutely.
All right. So how did you get started in this, Dr. Noah? What were you always like this, or were you broke and a homeless person? I mean, what's your story?
I'll give you the short version. I'll give you the Reader's Digest version, okay? Because I know we don't have a lot of time, but basically I grew up poor in a rich neighborhood. And I know that's a total cliche, but it's totally true. I grew up in a little town called Kennebunkport, Maine, which is one of the wealthiest communities in New England, but my family was dirt poor. And I mean that literally, because we lived at the bottom of a dirt road in a drafty, unfinished house that my parents ended up losing to foreclosure when I was just 15 years old. So I grew up with a very painful experience of the haves and the have-nots. The haves was everyone else in the community. The have-nots was my family. And so I hated that life of poverty, but I didn't know how to get out of it. So I left home when I was 15 years old, and I just traveled the country, started trying to learn how to be successful. I was reading all the books, going to the library, and just reading every book that I could. But I couldn't seem to put it together. So at the age of 25, I decided to commit suicide because I was so depressed and frustrated and, alone and lonely and all those things. And at the very last minute, my life was spared. I didn't know why at the time, but I said, well, I must be here for a reason, but I don't know why. I don't know why I'm here. And so I went on another long journey to try to find my purpose on the earth. And then in 1997, I had two epiphanies that really changed my life when I discovered, number one, how to think properly using what I call my afformations method, not affirmations, but afformations, something that I invented 25 years ago. And then I also discovered a condition that no one else had ever talked about before, which I named success anorexia. And so I realized that there are literally tens of millions of people who are unknowingly and unconsciously starving themselves of the success that they're capable of. So as a result of those two epiphanies, I published my first book, which was called Permission to Succeed, back in 1998, which was then published by the Chicken Soup for the Soul publisher back in 99. And since then, published 18 books. My new book is actually coming out in April. It's called The Seven-Figure Life. And, we've helped people, literally over 1 million people now around the world, to make more money, to find love, to find happiness and fulfillment, and really to win their lives back. So that's me in a short version, and it's really been a heck of a journey.
Wow. Now, you say you can change someone's financial life in less than 5 minutes a day. How the heck do you do that?
Well, the first thing that we need to understand is about my process of afformations. All right. So this is one of my new books. It's called Millionaire Afformations. And I want everyone to listen and realize, who's watching or listening, that I'm saying a new word. For most people listening to the program, it's afformations, and it's spelled AFFORmations, afformations, not affirmations, but afformations. So an afformation is a process, a method that I invented 25 years ago, where you ask empowering questions rather than say statements. So an affirmation, a traditional affirmation, something like, I'm happy, I'm rich, I'm successful. And your brain goes, no, you're not. Right. And so, but that's what the gurus have been teaching us for decades, right? And for most people, it just doesn't work. And so I was very frustrated by this, just like so many people are, but I did something about it, and I invented this process that I call the afformations method. So what an afformation is, instead of saying a statement like, I'm rich, and your brain goes, no, you're not, you ask an empowering question like, why am I so happy? Why am I so wealthy? Why am I always in the right place at the right time? So using my afformations method is one of the things that has helped a lot of people, not just make more money, but again, to get their lives back, to find love, and help their relationships, their health, their wealth. And so, by the way, you can get this book. This is called Millionaire Afformations. You can get this book at getmillionairebook.com. Getmillionairebook.com. Very easy to remember. And we do also have a companion journal that goes with that, so you can make it a daily habit. All right. So speaking of that, so now how do we do that in 5 minutes a day? What you do is you're using my afformations method, and in conjunction with the journal. And what you do is you use what I call my core 4 formula. Now, there are 4 modes of human communication. We humans communicate in 4 ways: reading, writing, speaking, and listening. That's how we humans communicate. So what you do is you do my core 4 formula. What does that mean? It means for 1 minute, you read your afformations, right? You can read it in my book of afformations or the head trash book that we have. This book is free, Get Rid of Your Head Trash About Money, at sendmeabooknoah.com. Very easy to remember, sendmeabooknoah.com, and I will send you a book. The book is free. We just ask you to cover the shipping. So send me a book, Noah. So the point is, you're reading your afformations for 1 minute. Then you're writing them. So you can write them in your journal. Again, we have the companion journal. You can do that for 1 minute. Then you have reading, writing, then speaking. You want to say it out loud. You say your affirmations. Why am I so happy? Why am I so wealthy? Why am I in the right place at the right time?
Do we answer these questions too?
I'm sorry?
Do we answer these questions? Or
you don't have to, no. And you have to understand what my affirmations method is. But no, you don't have to answer the question. The point is, you're rewiring your brain using neuroplasticity, using the embedded presupposition
factor. We're talking into the future, like, why am I so happy? Why am I so rich? And maybe that's not right now, but you're affirming, well, hey, I've read tomorrow's newspaper, and that's what's going to happen.
You're affirming. You're not affirming, you're affirming.
Got it.
Okay, because the word, by the way, people ask me that, Dave. I'm glad you brought that up, because people ask me, Noah, well, where'd the word affirmations come from? How'd you invent that? Well, the word affirmations, the one we're used to, comes from the Latin word firmare, which means to make firm. Now, the word affirmations that I invented 25 years ago comes from the Latin word formare, which means to form or give shape to. So what I often ask my audiences or my coaching clients, I say to them, what if you're making something firm, but it's in the wrong form? That means you formed a life you didn't even want. And that's what most people are unconsciously doing. So that's why using my affirmations method, we've helped over 1 million people to really change their lives in very, very short amount of time. All right. So that's the third core of the core four. And then you want to listen to them. We also, if you go to our main website, which is my name, noahstjohn.com, we have IAForm audios that you can listen to and literally reprogram your subconscious thought patterns while you're not even paying attention. You literally can be not even paying attention, and you can rewire your brain using my IAForm audios. They're right at the website, noahstjohn.com. And they're just, we have, to help you to lose weight or to, just be healthy, be happy, make more money, have business success, in all different areas of life. So that is how we can change someone's financial future in less than 5 minutes a day.
Wow. How long have you been? Go ahead.
Dr. Noah, so is it true that if you actually do this overnight where you put earplugs in and you just listen to it, it will actually, it'll sink into your cognitive thoughts, and it'll help you to remember it. Is that what it's doing?
That's exactly right. Yes, many of my clients use my IAForm audios while they're sleeping. Other people do it while they're exercising. You can be on the treadmill. You can be watching TV. You can be doing your emails on social, whatever. And so what's great about IAForm audios is you can literally reprogram your subconscious thought patterns while you're not even paying attention, while you're busy doing something else. And because of the neuroplasticity of the brain, we're literally rewiring the brain using my affirmations method, using these empowering questions. So it's incredibly powerful, and yet it's stunningly easy.
So you also say that head trash, the number one reason so many people feel stuck. Explain what head trash is and why it keeps people stuck.
Yeah, absolutely. So head trash, as I've been teaching it for over 20 years, is the voice in your head that says, I can't do it because ... And then you just fill in the blank. So for everyone listening to the program, I want you to think about your goals. All right. What is your big goal for the next 12 months? Right. And people say, well, I want to make more money. I want to grow my business. I want to start my business. I want to have a side hustle. I want to write a book. I want to have an online course. I want to find love. I want to lose weight, whatever it is. Right. It doesn't just have to be about money or success or your business. It can be about anything in your life, your health, your wealth, your relationships, whatever. Right. So think about that thing that you want. But see, what happens for most people is the very next thought that they have is, I probably can't do it, right? And so what happens is we humans have an infinite capacity to make ourselves right, all right? There's an old saying that says, whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're right. But what I say is, I updated this old phrase, and here's how I say it. Whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you make yourself right. And see, that's what's amazing about us humans. We make ourselves right. So we say, well, I want to make more money, but I can't do it because I'm too old, because I make too many mistakes, because I don't know where to start, because I don't know who to trust. I don't know who to talk to. Okay, great. You just made yourself right. And I guess I'll go watch Netflix. Oh, great. Okay. You just made yourself right. But this is one area, friends, where you don't want to be right? You want to be able to say, wait a minute, why do I have to be right about being wrong, about not being able to reach my goals? So this is one area where I invite people to question, wait a minute, are you sure you can't do it? And what's, of course, so ironic is everything that they just said, they just made it up. So because we want to keep ourselves safe. And so this is one of the reasons that we're able to see such incredible literally life-changing results with our clients. For example, I had one client who was making about $5,000 a month. She had spent tens of thousands of dollars to try to make more money and be more successful. She was very smart, very talented, very motivated, but she was just really plateaued. And, as a result of coaching with me, we took her from $5,000 a month to $75,000 a month in less than 9 months. So meaning literally less than a year, 15 times her income in less than a year, simply by virtue of helping her get
believing that she can do whatever that is that she wanted to do.
So is it actually a coaching session, or is it one-on-one? Is it a program? Is it how would the listeners be able to get involved into this program?
Yes, we have one-on-one and group coaching. And by the way, everybody listening can go to breakthroughwithnoah.com. These are all easy to remember. Breakthroughwithnoah.com. You can watch an 11-minute video that we actually just released on how I help my clients make more in just 12 weeks than they made in the previous 12 months while winning their lives back. So it's breakthroughwithnoah.com, and you can literally watch that video. But yeah, we have group coaching. We have one-on-one coaching. I'll give you another quick example. I had one coaching client, and I asked him a very simple question. I said, his name is Charles. I said, Charles, how much do you think it's going to cost you if we don't take out your head trash this year? Without batting an eye, he said, it's going to cost me $1 million. If I don't take out this head trash, it's going to cost me $1 million. I said, I tell you what, Charles, and I hear this a lot. I mean, I hear this all the time, anywhere from 100,000, $1 million, $5 million a year that my head trash is costing me, right? That people tell me. And so I said, okay, I tell you what, you give me 10% of that $1 million, and I will find you that $1 million in less than a year. And what happened was, because I said to him, if you give me $1 and I give you $10 back, is that a good deal? He goes, yeah, that's a good deal. So he paid me 10% of $1 million, which is $100K. He paid me $100K to do one-on-one coaching with him. Well, guess what? In less than 10 months, I found over $1.5 million in his business. So he gave me $1. I gave him $15 back. Wow. You're welcome.
Wow. Wow. That's awesome.
That's amazing.
Well,
that is awesome.
So you're famous for helping your clients make more money in 12 weeks than they've made in previous 12 months. And how do you do that? Did you explain that?
Well, we really start with this concept of head trash. Again, you can go to breakthroughwithnoah.com or send me a book, noah.com, both of those places, or you go to both of them. But we really start with, number one, of course, what does the person want, right? So, and what's so funny about that, and you think it wouldn't be this way, but it's really true. A lot of people don't really know what they want, right? It's the simplest question of all. What do you want? And they're like, well, I want more money. Okay, here's $5. Go away. No, you got to be a lot more clear than that, right? I mean, that's not good enough. You got to be a lot more specific. And so that's one place where we start. Just literally, let's get really, really clear on what it is that you want. I call that, your pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. What is your pot of gold? And then we have to look at what's in your way, what's blocking you, what's stopping you, what are the bottlenecks, and what is keeping you from those things. And what happens is there's usually, there's basically always two things, which is what I call inner game and outer game. All right. So your inner game is everything up here that happens between your ears that you can't see directly, but it affects everything that you do. And then you have the outer game. That's everything that you can see directly. Right. And so what happens is, I'll give another quick example. We had one client who was stuck at a certain level in his business for over 4 years. But he had spent all of this money going and, marketing and sales, going all the gurus and everything, but he had still been stuck at that level over 4 years. So he hired me and I worked with him one-on-one for a year. And in 1 year, we helped him increase by over 600% in 1 year. Wow. And the reason that we did that was inner game. It was all inner game. See, he'd spent all this time and money focused on outer game, which you need that. You have to do the outer game stuff, but nobody had told him, showed him exactly step by step, giving him the fill in the blank and paint by numbers checklist, resources, templates, so that he could actually master his inner game. And that's what went hockey. We call that the hockey stick, right? If you see a hockey stick, like you're going along and then whoop, like that. That's what we call hockey stick growth. And that's what we love to see with our clients.
Now, there's a famous, go ahead, Carletta.
No. I was just saying awesome.
Awesome. I'll say awesome too. There's a book out that a lot of people, successful people, know about. It's called The Habits of Highly Successful People or something like that. Mm-hmm. But in your books and coaching programs, you talk about the unconscious habits of highly successful people. And what do you mean by that?
Well, as you mentioned, Dave, you're absolutely right. There's lots and lots of books out there about the habits of successful people. For example, one of the classics is Napoleon Hill, right? Think and Grow Rich. So over a century ago, Napoleon Hill asked all these guys, and they were all men, of course, at the time, hey, how do you become successful? Well, you do this, and how do you become successful? Great. So he wrote this book. Hey, do this, and this. So how come, millions of people read that book and not everybody's successful? Well, it's because of what they left out. And so see what a lot of people have said about my work is my work starts where Napoleon Hill's left off, right? Because what those guys did was they said, well, these are all the things that I did to become successful. Well, what about the things you don't even know you're doing? See, that's what I call unconscious habits, right? In other words, all of us all of us humans are doing things unconsciously because we have to go through 4 phases of competence, when we're learning a new habit or to master something, right? First, there's unconscious incompetence. That means you don't know you don't know. Then you have conscious incompetence. That means you don't know. Then you have conscious competences, which is you know. And then finally you have unconscious competence, which is you do without thinking, right? Like driving a car, right? You went through all those phases to drive a car. You don't even you never think about driving a car right now. When you're driving a car, you're doing 27 other things. And so it's exactly that way with
just
success.
Amazingly show up at your destination. You don't know how you got there.
Exactly. So that's what I did is because I'm the nerdiest nerd in the personal growth industry, I literally broke down what these people do unconsciously. And if you're doing something unconsciously, there's 2 factors at work. Number 1 is you don't even know you're doing it, first of all, and therefore you can't teach it. Right. So this is one of the reasons, like Adam, that client I told you about, and Sheila, and I mean, basically all my clients, because they spend all this money going to all these gurus. All the gurus are saying stuff that's not exactly wrong, but it's not really helpful. Right. So it's kind of like, imagine if you're driving in your car and, you're lost, right? You're like, oh, gosh, I don't really know where I am right now. Right. And you look at your phone like, oh, shoot, I can't get any service and the GPS isn't working. I'm like, oh, man. And you see someone on the side of the road. You pull up, you say, excuse me, can you tell me where I am? And they go, yeah, you're in a car. You're like, well, OK, what they said wasn't wrong, but it also really didn't help. Right. So that's what the gurus do. They don't say anything that's wrong, but it also doesn't really help. And so that's what we like to do is we like to fill in the blanks. And boop, that's why we see hockey sticks.
So they give you half of it, and then it's up to you to finish it off.
I mean, the classic one that I love is believe in yourself, right? The secret to success is believe in yourself. And I'm sitting in the back, before I wrote all these books, and when I was doing all that studying I told you about, I'm sitting in the back going, but I don't believe in myself. So what am I supposed to do? And that's really the most common thing is most people really don't believe in themselves. So these guys are saying, well, just believe in yourself. Okay, but what if I don't, right? Well, then do it. It's like saying, oh, if you want to lose weight, make sure you've lost the weight already. Wait, what? It doesn't make any sense. And so, again, it's not wrong exactly, but it just doesn't really help.
So in your book, you say that willpower is the worst way to change a habit. That seems contradictory to what we're all told. So
Indeed.
Explain.
It is indeed contradictory. You're absolutely right. So let's look at what willpower really is. All right. So let me give you an example. Imagine if you're in your kitchen right now, and you're there, and somebody brings in a freshly baked plate of chocolate chip cookies, right? And they just came out of the oven, and you see them, and you're smelling them, right? And the steam is wafting up, and you can smell it, and you're like, ooh, and your mouth starts to water. You're like, ooh, boy, look at those chocolate chip cookies. And then the person puts them on the table, and they say, all right, now listen, I have to leave. And I just baked these cookies. Now, don't have a cookie. Whatever you do, don't have a cookie. I got to leave now. Do not touch those cookies, right? And they leave. What are you going to do? You're going to eat 12 cookies, right? I mean, so that's what willpower is like. It's like basically saying, don't have that thing that you want to have, right? Well, we humans don't like to do that, right? We don't like to deny ourselves of anything. And so that's what willpower is like. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm just saying it's a very weak muscle. Right, especially over the long term, it doesn't work that well. Okay, so what I teach my clients is something very different, which is basically breaking down what a habit actually is. And very briefly, a habit is 5 stages. It's the cue, the routine, the reward, the craving, and the belief. Now, again, I talk about that. I go into great depth in my books. But basically, you have to just understand what is the trigger that happens that cues or triggers the habit. Then what do you actually do? What is the habit you want to break? Then what is the reward that happens in the brain when you do the habit? Then what is the craving that actually takes place in the brain when you do the habit? Because when you do something over and over again, you actually get a craving in the brain, like a craving for chocolate chip cookies, for example, right? And then you have what happens is you form a belief about that habit. Most people say, oh, well, that's just the way I am. Well, that's a cop-out, right? That's a lazy person's way to say, oh, I'm afraid to change. And so when you actually go in there and we break it down, that's how we change a habit.
What did you say,
Colin? It's almost like your mom telling you, do this because I said so.
Right.
And you're like, but no, I need to know why.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I always used to give my daughter, when she was younger, a choice to see what kind of self-discipline she had. He says, would you rather have one piece of candy tomorrow or 5 pieces of candy right now? Actually, I said it wrong.
Yeah, you were backwards, Dave. Yeah. I knew what you meant.
One piece now or 5 tomorrow. And she would always take the one now.
Right. Right. Yes, that's actually a famous experiment that was done, I believe, by Stanford University many years ago. And so, yeah, and what it did was it actually measured a child's, and they called it willpower at the time, and I mean that's a fair assessment. But yeah, and what they found was that the child who actually has more discipline or willpower, if you want to call it, is in fact more successful over their lifetime because they have the ability to delay gratification.
Right.
Right. And so what, of course, we all want, I mean, most people is we want instant gratification.
That's the way they teach us today, isn't it?
That's right. Exactly. But as Carrie Fisher once said, instant gratification takes too long.
Yes, it does. Really.
From Sex in the City, yes. So how
Carrie Fisher, Star Wars fan.
Oh, okay. Show you where my head's at.
Yeah, hello, not that Carrie, the other Carrie.
So how can people get your new free book? You mentioned a bunch of websites, 4 that I wrote down.
Yeah.
So it's Send Me
a Book, Noah. Very easy to remember.
Noah.
Send me a book, Noah. Send me a book, Noah.com.
It's hard to read that when all the letters are together. Send me a book, Noah.
Send me a book, Noah.com. So get rid of your
which book are they getting
money.
free?
It's free. We just ask you to cover the shipping, right? So the book is free.
Which book?
So send me a book, Noah.com. And then the second one is Breakthrough with Noah.com. Basically anything with Noah in it is pretty much me, but Breakthrough with Noah.com, send me a book, Noah.com, and then my main website, noahstjohn.com.